Hey guys, welcome to Cedar Woods Farm. I'm Donna and I wanted to talk a little bit today about what to do when you have a sick chicken. This happened to me about 6 or 7 months ago and I didn't know what to do, and I had some things happen that were a little shocking that I had never heard about or read about or seen, and so those are the things that I want to share with you today. So I came up to the barn one morning. I had about 19 chickens, and I noticed immediately that one of my favorite chickens, her name is Black Betty, and she made it, by the way, so just so you know up front. But Black Betty was all hunched over. Her feathers were ruffled. Her wings were like hanging down. She looked awful. She was gasping for breath, and she had this big string of mucus hanging out of her nose and her beak. So I knew something, was major wrong. So put her in the car, took her to the vet. Thankfully, my vet does see farm animals, including chickens, and she took one look at her and said, yes, she's got a serious respiratory infection. And she said, you need to quarantine her. And she said, do you want to do shots, penicillin shots, or do you want to try, there's other like stuff you can try to put in their water and hope that everybody drinks it, yada yada. I was like, no, let's do shots. Not that I'm into shots, but I knew it was serious. So she gave Black Betty a shot there on the spot, and then gave me syringes. I went to, I think it was Tractor Supply, and you can they have penicillin. It's gosh, I can't even see that, Durvet. But any penicillin that's for livestock, any livestock or store like that will carry it. You have to keep it refrigerated after you open it. So started giving her shots. You have to give the chicken a shot for 7 days, just like adults on antibiotics. There's a certain amount of time that you have to take it in order to get that fully out of the system. So, and it worked. It had spread by then, and so I ended up having to give it to the entire flock. And if not all your chickens are completely tamed, that can be an issue as well, because you're chasing chickens around in the barn and then you've got to give them a shot, and it's stressful for everybody. But anyway, it worked. It was great. But something that happened, and it's happened since then. In fact, I've got a couple of lavender Orpingtons that have the same thing now. They're wheezing and kind of struggling to breathe. Sounds like a kid with a really bad cold, like just croupy, congested kind of thing. It especially happens in the small, like the bantam chickens. I've got, had at that time 3 little bitty bantams. And so I gave them the shot, and I'll explain in just a minute, where on the chicken you do that. But the chicken can pass out. So you give them the shot, you think everything's cool, you're getting ready to put the chicken back on the ground, and it just passes out cold, and you think you've killed it. Like, it really seems like the chicken is dead, and you freak out, because you're like, okay, I'm trying to save it, trying to help it get better, and I just killed it. So that's what, I had never heard of that. I had never seen that before. I didn't know that chickens could pass out. And they can be out for anywhere from 10 seconds to 60 seconds. So what you do in that situation is, or what I've done, and it's been successful for me, is you just continue to hold on to the chicken. You try to stimulate it, rub on it, love it, talk to it. Especially around its face, touch its beak, rub its head, so that you don't lose it. And like I said, that has worked for me. They've always come back. I don't know if it has to do with the smaller breeds, like these lavender Orpingtons that I'm treating now, are only about half grown. They're very young. So of course they get a smaller dose. But I don't know if it's just the fragility of the bird and the fact that, you know, bantams, for example, are just super small and just delicate birds to begin with. And then you're treating them because they're sick, which also makes them, you know, tire out easier. So that might have something to do with it as well. But it happened to, and I'll see if I can grab one here, happened to one of these girls just a couple nights ago. And it was kind of the same thing. She passed out cold, and I just held on to her and loved on her, and she, after a few minutes, it was about 60 seconds, 70 seconds, and she came back and she was okay. So where you give the shot, and it takes 2 people to do this. I would not try to give a chicken a shot just like me holding it. You have one person hold it, and then you want to feel for its little, I guess, sternum, if that's what you want to call it, like its craw is up here. You want to go down a little bit, and then it's got a little fatty area. It's the breast of the bird, like right past this middle bone. And then you're going to just push the feathers back, and that's where you're. Okay, and you know, obviously you want to do it as quickly as possible, but you don't want to do it too fast, because I have had it happen that, you know, I was trying to rush, and it either stuck, the syringe got stuck, or it like shot out and went everywhere, and I had to do it again. So that's another tip for that. So 7 days, any injectable penicillin that you can get at the Tractor Supply, Rural King, you know, whatever you've got close. And syringe size, I don't know it off the top of my head. I can put it in the notes under this video, but you want to be sure you get that right. I had a friend who had some leftover cat needles, you know, that of course that hadn't been used, and I thought those would work. Well, they didn't work. They were actually too small for the chickens. So you want that to be just right, because if the syringe, the needle size is just right, it's going to slide right in, and it's less grief for you and the chicken. So respiratory infection in chickens, who knew? Thanks for joining us.